Alright, hello, and welcome to, well, the middle of episode 2. So unfortunately I had a bit of a snafu and lost some footage, and there doesn't seem to be a good way to restart a level in this game without resetting all the way back to the beginning of the campaign. And I would rather not do that. As luck would have it, not a whole lot has happened. So let me just quickly get you up to speed with where we're at in terms of this scenario, and this will probably be a much faster video than usual. Now, I also noticed in the previous video there was a bit of video desync with the webcam. It went away eventually, but I'm playing around with some stuff to try and fix that. We'll see if it happens now, and if I can't work it out, I'll just drop the webcam completely. It's not really that important in the scheme of things. That's probably distracting to when it is out of sync like that. In fact, can I? It looks okay on my screen. We'll see how it looks in the actual end result. Now, go ahead and accept this. And okay, we got some sculptures. These will be handy for making temples later. Okay. I couldn't fit all of it, but I got quite a few. That's good. Now then, where are we? So, as I kind of predicted at the end of the last one, the goal for this scenario is effectively to defeat the Hydra. Now, technically, our goal is just to produce a bunch of marble. However, one thing you'll notice is that the marble and the Hydra are in the same spot. And so collecting this while he's, or she, I don't know what the gender of the Hydra is prowling about is probably not going to happen. So we're going to have to kill that. Now, this being a city building game, they of course have a city building solution to defeating the Hydra. And that solution is to build a heroes hall to bring in a hero to slay the monster. So the way this works, and we'll probably see this a lot in this game, most campaigns have a couple of these levels. The way that a heroes hall works is you place the hall in your city, and then you have to meet several criteria, and when you've satisfied all of these criteria, then you're allowed to summon the hero, and he will come in, or she will come in and deal with whatever they have to deal with. So in the case of Hercules, these are the criteria we have to meet. So it has to have excellent culture access. I set it up so it does. I'll discuss that in just a minute. Win any Pan-Hellenic game. We actually did that already in the last episode. It was just one of those messages that popped up. I'll talk about those Pan-Hellenic games a little bit later. We have to have excellent gymnasium access. Well, we do. Every single house has access to a gymnasium, so all good there. 1,500 people in the city. We are just about there. And I'll talk about how we got there then. And then we need 32 amphorae of wine. Now, this, to be honest with you, the reason why we're only to here after the 15 or 20 minutes that we lost is because of this objective, or this objective right here, the wine. So in order to, in fact, let me just stop this game running altogether, or near as much. So the way that you get wine is you have to grow it by planting vines. We can't do that. We don't have access to that, which means that our only option to get wine is to import it. Now, if we take a look at the world map, one thing you'll see is that Mount Pelion doesn't sell anything. Caledon doesn't sell wine. Libya doesn't sell wine. Argos doesn't sell wine. Eleusis produces wine, but without any military, we can't raid them to get it. And then, of course, same situation here. We couldn't raid them if we wanted to. So basically, in order to get the wine, you need to bring in Hercules in this scenario you basically just have to sit around and wait, and Caledon gives you gifts of wine every so often. So we basically had to wait until Caledon gave us the 32 amphorae of wine that we need. And now we have a sufficient wine supply to bring in Hercules. So the population goal. We basically had to upgrade. We had a bunch of these tenements at the end of the last level. And these tenements are third tier, or third from the top. Those then upgrade into apartments, which upgrade into townhouse. Now, the way that you upgrade a tenement into an apartment is you have to supply it with olive oil. So we're now distributing olive oil. There's nothing super fancy or sophisticated about this. You have to put down a building called a grower's lodge, and then put down olive trees in the meadows. So it's a bit like with the carting shed and the sheep. And the grower's lodge will send out, you can see one here, who's going to basically tend to the tree and produce olives. And then you take those olives to an olive press to produce olive oil. And we weren't producing quite enough with just one grower's lodge, so we added a second grower's lodge. And I seem to recall that the general rule is you want 2 presses for each lodge. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not. In fact, it looks like we may not be producing quite enough olives because we have some idle presses going on here. Although it could also be that I just need to put in more olive trees. So let me try that out. We'll see if we can get all those presses active. We are basically out of storage space, but as soon as we call in Hercules, the wine goes away, and that will open up. Basically pay the wine for him. But it probably would be a good idea to think about getting some more storage in place. How should I play this? Let me put some bulk storage back here, just out of the way, and I'm gonna move all those statues over to here, because those statues take up a lot of space. This will also produce a bunch of jobs, which is gonna help with our unemployment situation. So we'll have you get sculpture, and we'll have you get sculpture. So that should clear all that stuff out. I'm not going to worry about the wine or anything like that. And I probably should put another storehouse over here too. That should be fine. You know, no, I don't like that, because if I want to put in a wall or something at some point, I don't know. I'll think about that. Okay, let's get the game rolling again. So basically at this point, our goal is we need to get like 40 more people into the city, and then we can summon Hercules. He'll kill the Hydra, and then we just have to spin up a quick marble industry and collect enough marble to bring that in. So let's see. Basically our bottleneck right here is desirability. In hindsight, placing this housing block so close to the farms was probably unwise. We would want to put this further away so we don't have the negative desirability effects. I guess I should also point out that technically you need access to 3 different kinds of culture in order to fully upgrade your townhouse. Now, you might notice I haven't actually put a theater in here. So we have access to the athletes and the philosophers, but we don't actually have the actors going on. Now I can go ahead, it won't hurt or help anything, but I can go ahead and drop a theater in here. Got room for it. Now, I like the ox carts for hauling those statues. So basically these competitors,
all these extra workers aren't doing the city any good.
Which comes from the stadium here that I had to put down for Hercules. These guys count as a different kind of culture from the athletes. So they're basically going to the gym and walking around and giving us that extra culture. Now, as far as getting these guys upgraded, probably my best bet's going to be to just drop a monument. So we have this victory monument from when we bravely paid off Mount whatever it was. Were they? Mount Sithiron, I think is how you would pronounce that. I don't know. When we bravely defeated them by paying them about 500 gold to leave us alone. Let's go ahead and drop that in here. And these monuments are worth quite a bit in terms of desirability. So that should get us our 1,500 people. And now we should be able to send for Hercules.
I am Hercules, and am ready for a challenge. What have you got?
Okay, so Hercules has arrived. Coming in down here. Here he is.
I could probably think of some adventures to send the unemployed on. If this city isn't interested in finding them some work.
I'm telling you, I am trying to employ everybody. I wouldn't have grown this fast except for the requirements of the scenario. So yeah, now Hercules is going to work his way over here and kill the Hydra. It will be helpful if we could actually build a bridge to get over here. Because as you can see, we'll need to get over here for, oh, go ahead, take the fleece. We'll need to get over here for setting up the mining operation anyway. So we can bridge over onto this island and then over again here and set up our little industry. Bridges are under admin, I believe. Yeah. Okay, so we can build some water crossings. Now, where should we put them? Hey, yeah. We'll put a bridge there and a bridge there. Okay. Oh, and the heroes don't actually need the bridges, apparently. He builds a little raft. That's neat. Okay, well, let's go watch the Hydra fight anyway. It'll be incredibly riveting, as I'm sure you can imagine. As I'm sure you can imagine, this has some very enticing fight scenes. And there it goes. The Hydra is dead. Long live the Hydra. Cool. So now we can actually start working on winning the scenario by collecting that marble that we needed. Okay. Now, the way that this marble stuff works is it's actually a lot like my my carting shed and olive growing operation over here. You basically just drop down the building and people will walk from the building to the marble and then bring the marble back. So you don't actually have to put the marble chopping or the marble cutting place right on top of the marble. This should be fine. So we'll go ahead and block this off. I'm gonna drop some storehouses here to store the marble. I think it makes sense to store it here, and we can at least stage it here and then haul it out somewhere else. Ultimately, we're going to want to build a temple or something, and so I think it makes sense to have sort of this staging area, and then we can have, when we go to build the temple, we could put storehouses by the temple and have those fetch the marble. That's probably going to be the best way of doing it in terms of not unnecessarily hauling stuff everywhere. So raw materials, yeah, masonry shop. This is what's going to collect our marble for us. So let's go ahead and plop a bunch of these guys down. Aha. Go crazy. We have some serious unemployment, so and each of these is going to employ 15 people. So hopefully that did a bit of a dent. Okay, yeah. Our unemployment problem is pretty well resolved now, thanks to that. Of course, we're now going to greatly overproduce marble, but our goal is to produce 48 slabs in a year, so we do need to have somewhat rapid production. As you can see, the guys are going to walk over here, mine away, and then they'll bring the marble back to here. Now then, let me actually configure these guys to only accept marble. That way we aren't going to accidentally, and the last thing that I want is for like grapes or something or olives to get hauled all the way over to these storehouses. And we have food complaints. I mean, we don't have enough food. Ah, we don't have enough food. Well, crap. Guess we'll have to put in more farms. And hopefully... Let's see. Alright, we still have a bunch of food in the Agora. So hopefully that will last for long enough for these farms to finish. We did just add a bunch of extra people, so we need slightly more food now than we did earlier. We're definitely overproducing fleece, which is good, and we're definitely overproducing olive oil, which is also good. Can we sell any of those things? Wheat and wine doesn't help us. Onions and marble. Well, we can definitely sell marble. That's actually a pretty useful export to have because it's worth a lot. Sculpture, no. No, okay, no, we can't sell olive oil or anything to anyone. That's a shame. Olive oil is a pretty, if you can export olive oil, that's also a good one because it's, again, the value is fairly high. It's worth a fair amount. As a matter of fact, you could conceivably make money in a scenario by importing olives, producing the olive oil, and then exporting the olive oil. So that is, it won't be a ton of money, but you can actually make a net profit that way, even accounting for needing to pay the employees to do all the processing for you. So that's kind of neat. And let me go ahead, while I'm over here, I'm going to take this guy and set him to get marble. So we'll basically, he'll go over and pull marble from the marble quarry staging thing over to here, so that we have some on hand with the statues for when we inevitably build a sanctuary. I don't know if that's the next scenario or the scenario after, but before too long we're going to have to put in a sanctuary. I'm gonna, depending on which sanctuary we have to build, I would really like to put it up here on the Acropolis. Okay. May as well explain this. The Nemean games, I'll finally explain these games. So this one, strongest, fastest citizens will soon make their way. So there are a couple different games that happen, the Pan-Hellenic games. They're basically a showdown of the culture of each city. So this one, the Nemean games, is for your athletics. So your athletes and competitors go to that. In fact, you can probably see. Yeah, I think these guys are going.
I'm going to the game.
Yep.
I can't wait to vanquish my opponent.
So you can see the competitors actually leaving the city to go to the games. And if you win, you get one of these monuments. So there's one for athletics, there's one for philosophy, there's one for acting, and then there is also one for all of the above, the Olympic Games. Employees needed. That's actually a decent problem to have. It's a lot easier to solve employees needed than it is to solve unemployment. But the food is here, so we're probably about to have one of those annoying everyone leaves and then everyone comes back moments. But we have a granary full of food, so we should be okay. Do I have you set to... Yeah, okay. In fact, let me just limit that to 24 as well. So you can limit the amount of food that this thing is willing to hold, because as we saw, I think in the last episode, as we saw in the last episode, when this thing fills up with food, that's all well fine and good, but you can't actually take that food and feed it to your people. So we came in second in those games. I suspect if we built more gymnasiums and stuff, we would be able to actually win that, but I don't think it's really worth the effort right now. Yeah, of course, the thing that you missed in the lost footage was this is actually the second time this episode this has happened. earlier we ran into a problem with fleece. It required us to actually rebalance all the workers. I'll see. I'm sure it'll happen again at some point, and I'll show you the rebalancing of labor then. But basically, everything devolved because we didn't have enough fleece, because we weren't producing enough to both consume it and sell it. And everything devolved to those hovels, I think it was. And we didn't have enough workers to actually produce the fleece. So I had to shut down some industries and reallocate some workers and get that up and running again. Obviously, we're still here, so it wasn't fatal. Alright, so now we're basically just waiting on this marble production. Now, we've produced, you know, December. Yep, there it goes.
Worries remain. Ares was fond of the serpent, and he cannot be happy that you have arranged for the serpent's death. Athena, the goddess of warriors, crafts, and wisdom, has arrived to collect some of the serpent's teeth for some strange and wonderful purpose. Maybe she can shed some light on how to earn Ares' favor.
Okay, so as it turns out, even with the truncation, that's still of a reasonable length. So that is the second scenario in this. And I'm thinking the next scenario is probably going to involve building a temple to Athena. So we'll see about that. Yeah. Sorry about the lost footage. In any case, hopefully you enjoyed this, and we'll see you in the next episode.